COVID test before that thing, by the way.
God, no more of those power sneezes. That was like a
I passed.
true dad sneeze.
I've been having.
We're live, by the way.
I got the allergies. That's great.
I think.
Really?
There we go. I see some bits coming in. Oh yeah. Boom. And we're live. Oh, keep your COVID coughing to a minimum, please.
I'm telling you, I've just cleared. Just cleared.
Oh, you were just cleared.
2 days
Congratulations. You passed with flying colors.
Oh yeah.
A plus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm clear yet, to be honest with you.
Very fine swabbing that I did.
Uh-huh.
I mixed the snot with the
You just mixed it.
fluid just perfectly.
Did you wring it out the way you're supposed to?
Oh,
Get
yeah.
every last drop of nose juice.
And I dropped 3 fat droplets right on that little thing. Completely negative.
Came back. Yeah, mine. I couldn't believe that mine came back positive. I was in such denial. I was like, "There's no way this is COVID."
I told you, man.
Shout out to Level Remix. Hola, Gov. Shout out to Chase McLean. Level Remix is complaining about no iPad calculator. Well, you know what? It's too big. It's too big to be a calculator anyway. It looks ridiculous. You're gonna be on your iPad using it as a calculator. It's way too large. It's very clownish.
Got a weather app now.
That's true. That's gonna be, man. It only took how many years to get the weather app? The weather app. Oh man. Well, we're gonna wait for some more people to come in. But while we are, Lewis and I were just talking about Craig Federighi, and you know what? He won WWDC, Lewis. I think he's got to be the next CEO. To be honest with you, he's just got the charisma to do it, and he's beloved in the Apple community. He's like the only one that can actually deliver anything at the keynotes and seem genuine, and he seems like he's excited about all the stuff,
excited.
all the stuff they're doing. But more than anything else, and I think you nailed this. The reason I think Craig Federighi won the show was because he has a demonstrated ability to really come off as just authentic and genuine. And there were a bunch of pictures on Twitter that really made me wish that I was at WWDC this week. And it was probably it was a big one because it's one of the first that people are finally coming back and actually being there in person. But there were a bunch of people posting pictures with Craig. I mean, first of all, that hair is out of control, dude. That is Kevin Bacon level hair right there. You know, most older gentlemen just don't have the thick, luxurious hair that Craig Federighi has. But more than that, you can just see from his face, he's just happy to be there, man. He loves meeting with people. He loves taking pictures with people. He's like the Tom Cruise of the Apple ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? He's just very likable.
He's got a lot of charisma.
He's just oozing charisma.
Plus, he sits at the intersection of all their software.
Yeah.
And so he knows what's going on with everything. He just seems like doesn't have a mean bone in his body, which might be the only reason he couldn't be the CEO. He might not be mean enough.
He's not backstabby enough. You feel like you gotta
front stabby enough.
That's right. TC, he's front stabby, side stabby. He's a stabby. Like he'll get you. But you got to be stabby to make it up that high, right?
You don't want to be in the room when his eyes get squinty.
When those eyes get squinty, that's like what's one of the last things you're gonna see. That's when your eyes are about to get squinty.
You're about to go X.
Oh man. Oh well. Let's go ahead and
tweet.
Oh, you want the tweet?
Yeah, come on,
son
man.
of a gun! I almost forgot it. Here we go.
Can't be a deficient podcast.
I'm still recovering. Here we go. There's a juicy tweet right there. That's gonna bring him in. We'll have Gruber in the chat. We're gonna get him all in here. He's probably still recovering from the talk show live, but let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. We got so much to talk about. I don't even know how we're gonna get through all this stuff. I was telling Lewis, Apple's a fine-tuned machine. It takes them 2 hours to get through all this stuff, and we are the exact opposite of fine-tuned. So we're going to get through as much of it as we can in the limited amount of time that we have, and we're basically going to just focus on all the things that we thought were awesome. And there's a lot of stuff, and then we'll kind of like blast through everything else. So let me go ahead and queue up Mrs. You know who. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D, you're so chipper. Oh, you know I like a nice silver fox, that delicious little Craig. Oh, my goodness. The first time I've heard you say something about anyone other than El Caney. Oh, he's not nearly as delicious as my cute little kumquat El Caney. Cute little kumquat.
Careful with that word.
Okay. Well, Mrs. D, I know that you're excited about kumquats, but if you don't mind, we can go ahead and get this show on the road because we got so much stuff to talk about and nary enough time to do so. So let me go ahead and cue everything up, and we will get this rolling in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute album conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric Elijah. Joining me today, he's been whipping the Cult of Mac writers into shape since Monday's WWDC keynote, and boy, are his arms tired. He's already worn out 2 of his favorite horse crops. He's the managing editor of Cult of Mac. Lewis Wallace is here.
Yes, indeed. What a week it's been. What a week.
What a crazy week. I don't even know how to feel about WWDC weeks because there's just so much to talk about that I never know where to start with anything because, like I said, it takes Apple 2 hours to get through it. There's no way we're going to get through everything in the mere 30 minutes that we have.
They have a squad of 1,000 people packing information into every second of a 2-hour presentation.
It's actually dizzying. The amount of organization it must take for Apple to pull off one of these weeks is just mind-blowing. I mean, imagine everything that has to happen and then all the marketing material that has to go live at exactly the right moments and all like the sessions and everything. I mean, it is like it would take a master operator like TC to pull something off like that.
You know, those little images they put together, like the highlights of every operating system, like iOS. It would take me a week and a half just to put one of those graphics together.
Well, maybe now that you have some new features in iOS 16 that allows you to extract, subjects from the background, maybe it would only take you 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, okay.
If
I work the weekend, I can wrap it up.
I feel like I spend like 60% of my life just extracting things from backgrounds. You know what I mean? That's like pretty much all I do. Let's see here. Before we dive in, let me give a quick thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Squarespace.com/CultCast. Squarespace has everything you need to sell anything online. And I should know because I use Squarespace to build cultcloth.co, which is my website for my wonderful CultCloth line of products, which I absolutely recommend that you check out if you want to keep your gadgets and sunglasses and technology sparkling clean. There's nothing better. And I do it all on Squarespace's platform, and it just couldn't be easier. You build the website, everything's drag and drop. It's also very powerful. They have all these modules that you can go in and customize. You can change the look of absolutely everything, the colors, the fonts, the look, the feel. You could have a website up in 2 minutes, or you can really play around and build something that is really uniquely yours and looks like nothing else that's out there, even though you start with a template that they have. They have a bunch of cool templates that you can just start with, and your website will look great on any device that visits. Squarespace does all the magic in the background to make your website optimized for every device that visits. And you could sell products, you could sell digital products, you could sell your services, you could build a members-only area, you could build a website for your business, you could build a website that highlights your skill set if you're looking for a new job. I think it's really a good idea to have a one-page impactful website that highlights your skills, has like a big picture or a video in the background or something so that recruiters can go to your site and they're like, dang, this is the real McCoy, as they used to say. Do they say that anymore? I don't think so.
Some people do.
Some people do. Well, I'm bringing it back, and it will put you a leg ahead of all those other slackers with GeoCities websites. So if you're ready to have
GeoCities. Oh my God, there's a flashback.
If you're ready to have a beautiful website,
not a good one.
Not one that's going to get you hired. Definitely not for much above minimum wage. If you're ready to build a website, or you've been thinking about building a website, just go check it out, squarespace.com/CultCast, and sign up for the trial, build a website, see how you like it. And if you want to keep what you have after your trial, just use code CultCast at checkout, and you'll save 10% off your first purchase. And if you do a year of service up front, that's what I do, you'll get an additional discount as well. Squarespace.com/CultCast. Lewis, I can't believe it. I was just saying, I'm going to repeat just real quick. I did the show last week with full-on COVID, and I had no idea. So I tested 3 days ago, because I was like, one of our friends had the same symptoms as us, and they came back positive. I was like, no way, I can't believe it. So I tested. Yeah, sure enough, I did the show. I felt like I was on the verge of passing out the entire last episode. I forgot to put in the bonus track when I was editing the show. I mean, like, I was
no bonus track.
I was completely out of it.
World coming to
and I'm still not normal. Like
were you ever?
So if I was just rambling, well, yeah, even more than usual. If I was stranger than usual, that was definitely why. If I said anything that didn't make sense, well, I can't blame that on COVID. That's just me being unprepared. But yeah, I was totally out of it, and I'm still a little out of it. Like it really wiped me out.
That's where you're wrong. You see, you can't blame it. You now have a sort of get out of mental jail free card for the rest of your
long
life.
COVID.
Anybody says anything, yeah, get the long COVID.
That's so long. It's been like 6 years.
Yeah. Well, oh, yeah, you're right. It's not called a pad eye. It's an iPad. Whoops, long COVID.
Yeah, it does get me get out of jail free, right? I can literally say whatever I want, and that might happen because we have a lot of stuff, just a lot of crap to get through from WWDC. There's just so much stuff in here. Let's see if we can get through as much of it as we possibly can before this ship sinks. So we're going to talk about the surprises, the big surprises that blew our minds at WWDC. We have a Cult of Mac article that we put together with all the stuff that we thought was like really surprising. But then we're also going to sprinkle through some of the other stuff that's not in this particular article because there was just so much stuff that was really cool for iOS 16. And there's the new iPad Air, of course, the new M2 iPad Air, which was one of my favorite things that was announced.
Air.
Oh, see, I'm doing it already.
COVID.
I'm doing it already. I got the short COVID, and I've already got long COVID, even though I'm still working on the short.
You really want to watch out for the medium length COVID because that
medium length COVID is the one that really makes you seem stupid. Yeah. So thank you. The MacBook Air. Let me know if you got to pay attention. You're gonna be on your toes this week, Lewis, because if I say anything like that again, you're gonna have to correct me. Let's start with that. So we have we got the updated MacBook Air, and we also got the 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is kind of an odd beast, to be honest, and both of them got the M2 chip, and I have to say the M2 MacBook Air is one of the most perfect computers that Apple has ever released. It struck all the right chords with me, except I really wasn't thrilled that they decided to raise the price by 20%.
Yeah.
You know, and keep the original MacBook Air, the M1, around for the same price. It's 2 years old, and they're keeping it around for the same $1,000 price tag. It's just a sign of the times, I guess. Apple, I think, probably is paying more for all their components right now because of all the supply chain issues, and this allows them to ease the demands on their M2 chips, and so if you want to have the original M1 MacBook Air, same price, you can get that one, or you can pay 20% more and get the M2 version, which I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure which way is the better way to go. I mean, it's an extra $200 for the base model for the M2 MacBook Air. That's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot.
I would pay it just for the MagSafe charger.
Really, the MagSafe is that important to you, huh?
Well, because it frees up another port.
That is true. I mean, if you're going to be plugging a bunch of stuff into the MacBook Air, then that definitely is a big selling point. Of course, also just the MagSafe. Having the MagSafe means that it's not going to get toppled off of a table.
Right. $200 insurance policy.
Yeah. When someone, that's happened to me multiple times since I have a MacBook Pro without the MagSafe, and my daughters will walk by and they'll be pushing their baby stroller. It catches onto the cable. This has happened more than once. And it just in slow motion gets pulled off the cable or off the table. So yeah, let's talk about the M2 MacBook Air first. So first and foremost, We almost nailed it exactly how much faster it was going to be. So M2 features 20% faster single core speeds and up to 30 to 35% faster GPU. That's a big difference. So you're getting a huge difference in performance right off the bat. And 20% higher price tag. Yeah, we mentioned that already. I really love the design of it. I think that more rounded shape that it has, that's much more like the new design language for the M1 iPad and the MacBook Pros. I love it. The rounded edges. And yeah, go ahead.
I don't know, man. When they showed those profile shots of it, it looked like basically a L drawn in space. You know?
Yeah.
It looks so thin, and I don't know. It's bizarre looking.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of these things in person, but
I know what you mean. It's the profile pictures they show, I think they're trying to show how thin it is, but I don't feel like it does a very good job showing you like what the actual computer looks like.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird looking.
I don't know if it's weird looking. I wouldn't
bizarre.
I wouldn't quite take it that far. That's not now I think that you've got the long COVID here. So, yeah, let me see here. I just found on an Apple site. Yeah, so this is the picture that Lewis is talking about for those of you listening. It's just the side profile. You just can't see anything. It's so thin, there's like nothing there.
I know.
I mean, all you see is like kind of like a thinness. It looks like a triangle on its side, and then you see a headphone jack on the side. That's all. Not great pictures. But I do love the design. I even like the colors. Like I was kind of looking at that starlight color, and I was like,
"Yeah, I got jealous, man. I got jealous."
Are you gonna get one, Lewis?
No, I mean this one I've got. The regular M1 is fine. I don't need it, but
yeah,
you know, I mean, if this thing fell off my desk, I know what I would be buying and to replace it. It wouldn't be the same thing. I would absolutely go for the new one.
I can't overstate how disappointed I am that they didn't lower the price of the M1 MacBook Air. I mean, a 2-year-old computer, that means that price is probably going to be around for another year at least. And I think that's just really, it's like for a 2-year-old computer, you're not going to lower the price at all. I just think that's really disappointing. Anyway, let's talk about the M2 since that's what we're here to do. So one of the better features that impressed me, the Liquid Retina display is now larger. It's almost 14 inches now. It's 13.6 inches. So it's almost a 14-inch MacBook Pro display size now. It also is 25% brighter, which is a hugely practical feature if you're using your computer in a room that's bright or outdoors. And so now it has up to 500 nits of brightness. It has because it's the M2, it adds a next generation media encode engine and ProRes encode decode engine, which means that this thing will probably actually be pretty good for like editing video. I mean, you could probably use this as a creator for a YouTube channel. If you're doing just like 4K video, this thing's gonna scream through that. And if you're doing 1080p video, get out of here, get out of my face. This is probably way more than you need. You get the MagSafe, which is back, which is also another huge feature. And I don't know if you noticed this, Lewis. They color matched the cables.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch. I know what a big fan of color matching you are. You know,
it's important.
Well,
very. I mean, the thing just doesn't run as well if the cable doesn't match.
I just thought it was a really nice touch, and I also like a little bit of color matchiness, if you know what I'm saying, Lewis. And so I thought that was a cool feature. And then of course you get the MagSafe, which is huge, which means that you won't lose your computer the next time someone trips over the cable. And then the other thing is this is fast charging capable. So it comes with a 30-watt power adapter. No, 35-watt, excuse me. But if you get a 67-watt power adapter, it doesn't come with it.
Of course.
Yeah, of course not. But you could buy like a USB-C charger. And this will charge, I think in like 30 minutes, it will charge up to like 50% power. So that's pretty useful. And it has a 1080p webcam, better 3-mic array, 4-speaker speaker system, audio system. I was trying to figure out how to say that. They added that same audio jack with support for high impedance headphones. And of course you get space gray, the midnight color, starlights, and silver. So all in all, I was I was truly envious. I have no reason to get one of these, but I really kind of want one, to be honest with you.
Go for it. What the heck?
I'm thinking I'm getting the. Here's the thing.
Apple Pay later.
Hey, now you're talking, right? I don't even have to pay for it. I'll just pay for it later, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I have the Mac Studio, and it's the M1 Ultra version, and the dang thing just sits on my desk, hardly touched, because I as much as I thought I would work at my desk, I don't really ever work at my desk. So I have to have a laptop. So I was actually thinking of either getting the new MacBook Air or getting a 14-inch MacBook Pro and having that, so that I can work. Because right now I'm working on my 2019 MacBook Pro, even though I have the Mac Studio sitting here on the desk. It really is amazing to me how convenience it is a huge determining factor on whether or not you'll actually use something, right? Like, even though I have the Studio Display sitting right here, I've got the Mac Studio, it just sits there because it's out here in Cult Command Center, and oftentimes I find that I'm working inside my house, and so what do? I end up working on my laptop. And so I was like, I need to get a new laptop, and I was wondering if it's going to be the M2 or the 14-inch MacBook Pro. I'm leaning towards the 14-inch MacBook Pro, to be honest with you. But there you go.
The new MacBook Pro? What?
The 14-inch MacBook Pro, yeah. The M1 Max.
Oh, the M1. Oh, so why wouldn't you get the new one? Why would you get the? I would never buy last year's chip.
Well, no. You mean the M2 13-inch MacBook Pro?
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying you'd buy the
MacBook
more powerful one that came out 3 months ago or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you said that, because that just reminded me of one of the things I was going to mention. And shout out to MKBHD who put together this graphic that I'm about to show. It compares the new M2 MacBook Air to the M2 MacBook Pro, and at the same price, they're not even close in specs. Like, I don't know why anyone would buy the M2 MacBook Pro. It seems kind of pointless because they just put the M2 in the same chassis of the old 13-inch MacBook Pro, and the MacBook Air, it beats it on weight. It has a better design. It has a better display. It has the function keys, so no touch bar, right? It's got MagSafe. It's got fast charging. It's got a better webcam. It's got better ports. The only areas that the M2 MacBook Pro beats the new M2 MacBook Air is it has active cooling, right? So it has a fan, which I don't even know if the fan is ever going to churn on. The fan, I feel like, never churns on for the M1 MacBook Pro. So why would it turn on here? And then it's got better battery life. So the M2 MacBook Pro gets about 20 hours of battery life versus the M2 MacBook Air's 18 hours. But other than that, it's kind of odd to me that they kept the 13-inch MacBook Pro around, because it seems like it's kind of obsolete at this point. What do you think about that, Lewis?
Yeah, well, we had a big article comparing the two, and I mean, yeah, almost every aspect of it, it's like, why would you go with this one? I mean, maybe if you want a touch bar.
I guess if you really wanted a touch bar,
gotta have a touch bar.
And I heard some people say, oh, well, if you want like sustained performance, then you'll want to get the M2 MacBook Pro because it has a fan. But I don't think that's the way it works. I mean, if you've noticed, like, the M1 Max in the Mac Studio performs the same as the M1 Max in the MacBook Pro, even though the Mac Studio has far superior cooling. It doesn't. I think that Apple actually intentionally limits its performance because they don't want their chips performing differently across different devices. So you pick your chip and then you pick your form factor. So you get the M1 in the iPad or the M1 in the MacBook Air, and they're going to perform exactly the same. They just have different form factors, but you don't get better performance, I don't think, in the different form factors. So I don't know if the active cooling in the M2 MacBook Pro is actually going to do you any good at all. And other than the better battery life and then the active cooling, it's worse in every way. So I just don't know why you'd buy it, you know? And it's not a new design. So to me,
Worse
it's
in
kind
every
of
way. That's terrible.
I think that's in the marketing material. Now worse
Yeah,
in every way.
I think they probably deleted that.
That would make Tim Cook's eyes so squinty. If you heard me
Oh
say
man, full squint.
that, he wouldn't even be able to see me. He would want to kill me, but he wouldn't be able to find me because his eyes would be so squinty that I might actually get away. So
I doubt it.
no, he probably has a great sense of smell. He could probably sniff me out. No one escapes Tim Cook's fury. No one. So there you go. That's the new MacBook Air. Oh man, what a fantastic machine! Like I said, one of the most exciting MacBooks that I think Apple has ever released. The only bummer is it's a higher price, and I anticipate that eventually they're going to discontinue the 13-inch MacBook Pro because really there's just no point anymore. Like it has almost the same size screen as the M2 MacBook Air does. So why keep it around? I'm surprised they did. They should have just retired it and or just left it as is and lowered the price a little bit or something. But if you're in the chat, if you could tell me why you would want an M2 MacBook Pro over an M2 MacBook Air, let me know because I really have no idea. I don't know why that they would would think that people would still want this machine. Although there are people who think that the MacBook Pro is just automatically a better machine because it's quote unquote for pros.
Yeah.
Right? So there is that. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about another feature that I thought was really quite mind-blowing, to be honest with you, and very progressive of Apple, and something that is sorely needed in today's age of remote work, and that is continuity camera.
What was your alternative headline on this? Oh yeah, continuity camera admits MacBook cameras need help.
Who wrote that? Was that you?
I don't.
Oh no, that came from the story.
Oh okay.
That's
yeah,
from
I guess that
the
must,
excellent
I don't
Cult of
know who
Mac.
did that.
No, it was a subheader from the story.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, when they showed this, I actually thought it was like a one of the put-ons that they use sometimes. I thought it was a joke. Like I thought it was a iPhone taped to a Mac or something.
It is so
believe
zany that it does kind of seem like they were trolling us, huh?
Yeah, I really thought it was a joke. Anyway, let's talk about what it is, I suppose. Continuity camera, it's a new feature coming in iOS 16 and macOS Ventura, and it's basically going to turn the iPhone into a webcam for the Mac. When you start or join a video call from your Mac, your computer will sense if your iPhone is nearby and is available to serve as a webcam. Assuming it is, your Mac automatically begins streaming video directly from your phone's rear camera to your video calling software. And who Belkin and I think they said Belkin and other people are going to make these like little
I just heard Belkin, yeah,
attachments that attach your iPhone to the top or screen of your Mac, which honestly looks bizarre. They say that it's not just FaceTime. It's going to work with Microsoft Teams, WebEx, and other video conferencing software.
I mean, anything that can access your webcam, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if did we not get this in the story? I mean, one of the wildest things about that is that it can show your desktop at the same time. It's like two webcams, right?
Wait, say that again.
It could show your desktop.
Oh, right. Yeah, which
is freaky.
That was kind of a weird additional feature. I don't know why you would use that feature. So for those of you that didn't catch it, the in continuity camera mode, they demoed this ability for the ultra wide camera to basically show the deck of your Mac that the phone is attached to, and like your hands and everything, so people could see
desk, not the computer desktop.
Yeah. So it's like a top down view of your workspace, which is a really cool feature. I was trying to envision like how you would use this. Like as a YouTube creator, it might be useful to do something like that, so that you could show what's on your desk. But like if you're in like a Teams meeting or something, why would you? I mean, unless you're Jeffrey Toobin.
Oh my God! Come on! Don't make people.
Unless you're trying to go full Toobin.
Oh,
and let me just tell you, never go full Toobin.
No.
I mean, imagine if he had this feature. He'd be in prison.
I mean, if you think about it, like let's say you're a food blogger or somebody who's like doing recipe videos. I mean, it's perfect. Show yourself dicing onions. I I don't know. I was kind of I can't even imagine yet how it actually works. How it can get both that and your face at the same time. It seems shocking.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a 360 camera. I don't know if you ever used a 360 camera. I doubt you probably ever have.
No,
But
I
like,
never have.
they have like these super ultra wide angles, and then they use software to basically stitch the two different cameras on both sides of the camera unit together to create like a 360 image. And so they're basically able to, even though the plane of the camera is well, how do I describe this? When you're holding the camera in your hand, if it's looking forward, you can basically see your feet down at the bottom because the camera is just so wide, and that must be what they have going on here. And then they use software, right, to de-skew it so it looks like a normal image, because otherwise it'd be all crazy and like bent. Like
I just thought that was a wild feature.
yeah, me too. And I'm still like not totally sure how people are going to use it. I mean, if you're an educator, maybe there'd be like a reason to actually. There you go. If you're an educator and you're like doing like a math problem or something, and you're writing something down, and you want to show people what you're doing, like that can be useful.
How about this? You're a I don't know, tech podcaster, and you want to show somebody an Apple Watch.
There you go. Oh,
Which
Apple Watch mode, which we have proved on this show is impossible to do.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to show someone the face of your Apple Watch while you're wearing your watch.
So now
you just can't.
you just hold it out right in front of you.
Yeah.
Everyone could see it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's if nothing else, it's perfect for that.
Okay, we're thinking small here. This is a this is a massive feature. Okay, so not only does it do all the stuff that we just said, but now you have a portable camera that you could take away from your Mac or detach from your Mac and place probably somewhere within the realm of where you are. So if you want to have a better camera angle, you'll be able to do that. So that makes it huge, right? And not to mention, until I'd say in the last 2 years, Apple's webcams have been horrendous, truly pieces of garbage. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that I have a like a $4,000 MacBook Pro, and the webcam looks like something from the mid-aughts, right? That is truly embarrassing. And it took COVID and everyone, the shift in work from everyone in the office to everyone at home, for Apple to finally change that. And so you have I'm going to guess 80% of the Macs out there have really terrible webcams, and what Apple has essentially done is allow you to bypass those horrible webcams with one of the best webcams on the market today. So this is a huge feature, and I think it's going to get used by tons and tons of people. And I know that the iPhone has to be within the vicinity of the Mac in order for the feature to be active, but I'm going to guess you could be within like a few feet, right? Maybe even farther out. And so you could literally just place your camera or your phone wherever you want, and then be in a meeting, be in a FaceTime call, and have a really beautiful picture. So I think that's a massively practical feature. It's one that I'll probably use all the time because, I don't have any nice webcams on any of my portable Macs.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that was definitely one of the things you're like, wow, that is not something that I thought of. I was completely surprised by it. Up to the point of like, is this even a joke?
I can't believe it, Lewis. Live here on the show, we have our first super chat, which I forgot that I even enabled. Do you even know what a super chat is, Lewis?
I don't know. Should I be worried?
Super chat allows your many fans to pay to insult you. No, I'm just joking. So a super chat is a YouTube feature that allows people to pay money, and then their comment like gets highlighted in the chat
Really?
so that you can see it. And I'm going to read this. This is from Rapido20. Now, I didn't write this comment, so I'm going to just read it as is. I can see it's a little controversial, but I'm still going to read it. This is from Rapido20. He says, "Why haven't Prosser and Sam, the two most prolific leakers, admit they were wrong over months with dozens of vids with the Air with white bezels and pastel colors?" So I can't comment to exactly what they spoke about because there's been so many rumors floating around that it's been hard to keep track. But I feel like I can talk generally about what has happened in the Apple ecosystem when it comes to leakers. And I think that because there's been way fewer leaks than we've had in previous years, I feel like. And unfortunately for us, for people that talk about this stuff, it makes it hard to put out interesting content because a lot of people, they just want to hear about the newest iPhone. Like that's like pretty much all the leakers talk about. I feel like is like the new iPhone, what it's going to look like, and then they'll cover Macs and iPads and stuff. But in order to draw people in, they have to have renders. Like that's become like the big thing, is you have to look at the rumors that are out there and then create a render based on the rumors. And I think that because those renders draw in a lot of viewers, people have become more and more free form in their interpretation of what they think Apple's going to release because they know it gets clicks. And I'm not even speaking about processor. I'm just speaking about people across the entire ecosystem of Apple rumors. And they know that creating an interesting render is going to bring people in. And oftentimes those renders are based off of rumors that don't have a ton of information. And so they're left to extrapolate. There's a lot of extrapolating going on out there. And so I think you end up with situations where people are pushing renders because the renders draw people in, but the renders are not accurate, and they were never accurate, even though they make for interesting visual fodder. Because if you don't have a render, it's hard to talk about something. People don't want to hear you just talk about something, believe me. They don't want to just hear you talk about something without a visual example. And so they're motivated to create these really beautiful examples. And a lot of these render creators, like Ian Zobo, are very talented. I mean, they're essentially creating these hyper realistic looking mock-ups, and they look beautiful, and people are interested in them, so they click on them, and so they get created. So that's what I think is going on. All right, we got one from Deadliest as well before we move on. He says, hello. Oh, that was perfect, Deadliest. No real comment here, just a day one list. Oh, we got a day one Gov Club here. I can't believe it, from Deadliest, that wanted to show your appreciation. Thanks for everything. Keep on kicking. I can't say that last word. I'll say kicking buns. All right. Thank you for those super chats. That's cool. Those are the first two that we got because I actually forgot that we even turned that on. So if you want to pay me to read your comment on the show, as long as it's not something that I can't read, I will read it. So there you go. That's continuity camera. That was completely unexpected, and one of the more mind-blowing features that I think Apple released. The one last thing I will say about this is I have seen this in action, Lewis. Virtually no lag at all. Like it's almost real-time camera. It's like when you're moving your hands around, the image captured on your iPhone is almost exactly what you see on your Mac's screen. It works that quickly. So pretty tight feature so far. And something I think a lot of people are going to use.
I haven't downloaded any of these betas because I need my gear to work.
Yeah,
but
that's never stopped Leander.
Well, and it didn't stop Ed either. He downloaded the iPad and the iOS stuff, and he's got a couple of hands-on the website. I haven't had the iOS one just got published today. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I can't wait to read what that how rough the first beta is and how well some of these features work.
I know. I'm always nervous. It's too bad we don't have LK here to show us just how horribly broken everything is, because he always installs the beta as soon as they come out, right? And then he tries to do the show, and he's shocked that it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, exactly. I have this one production machine. I'm like, I can't just be installing betas. I got to make sure everything's stable.
Put it on the Mac Studio.
Well, I use the Mac Studio for work occasionally, Lewis.
Okay, all right.
So, but I guess I could put it on my 2019 MacBook Pro.
You could partition your hard drive, right?
That sounds like a lot of work, yeah.
We got a how-to on that too, man. Just go do it.
I know I know. Don't go full Schwarzenegger on me. Never go full Schwarzenegger on me. Yeah, I could do that. You're right, but I just don't want to. I just want my Mac to work. That's my thing, But my 2019 MacBook Pro, I might be willing to do it there because I don't need that one to absolutely work all the the Okay.
That doesn't have the M1, right? So
no, it's got
some of these features aren't going to work. Some of those features aren't going to work.
Well, it seems like most of them are. I was actually surprised how many features they're releasing in macOS Ventura that seem like they work just fine on Intel Macs.
Stage Manager does not.
It doesn't?
Nope.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's a bummer. Well, I'm planning on getting rid of my 2019 MacBook Pro anyway pretty soon. I'm just waiting. Unfortunately, I screwed myself by telling you all about all the great deals that have been happening on the Apple refurbished store, and all those great refurbished 14-inch MacBook Pros that were on there virtually all disappeared after we did that show. And I'm not going to take all the credit because I know that a lot of people know about the refurbished store and there's a lot of great deals to be had on there. But I definitely made a dent, and now there's never any 14-inch MacBook Pros on the refurbished store. They've been gone since we've done that show. So, but the next time they have a new round, I might pick one up because I want to get out of the Intel business. Apple is swiftly leaving us behind. And if you have an Intel Mac, I would definitely be looking to sell and get something with Apple Silicon because all the best new features are all going to be for Apple Silicon.
You know what? I might be wrong about Stage Manager on Mac. I'm not sure if it works on non-M1 Macs, but it does not work on non-M1 iPads. So just to be clear, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so
it might work on your Intel Mac, but
because they did say that Stage Manager, and you may have just said this, it's for iPad OS. It only works for the M1 iPads.
Correct.
Which I'm almost positive is a artificial limitation that they put in place so that people buy the new iPads.
They said that it's because it just requires that amount of processing power.
Okay, so they said there was actually a technical reason?
Yeah.
Because technically they want to make more money?
Yeah, right.
There is a technical reason, y'all. Yeah, I bet it's technical. Let's see here. Before we talk about CarPlay here, because this was one of the other mind-blowing ones, and this really was mind-blowing to me. We've been talking about how car companies need to just give up and let Apple take over the UI presentations of their automobiles, and I don't know if they're going to let Apple do this. What they pitched is extraordinarily innovative. I kind of feel like one of the reasons they talked about CarPlay and the way that they did at WWDC is to pitch the car manufacturers and show them how excited people are about this stuff. And they said they made a bunch of deals with car companies, but I'm like, yeah, what are those deals? Are they going to let you implement the full dashboard vision that you're showing here? I really doubt it, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about the giveaway real fast here, Lewis.
Yeah, this
nice
is almost
one this week.
This is like a scoop. It's not even live on the site yet, but
oh, it's not.
I know
I got nothing to show.
You can. I know.
That's okay. Still pitch it.
But it'll be up in the next day by
Okay.
the time that this podcast goes live, right? So this week we're giving away the Mag Easy slider from Pitaka.
Oh yeah.
Pitaka.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Pitaka.
All right. So this is a multi-device wireless charger. It's very compact. I'm kind of shocked at how compact it is, and it swivels around.
Yep.
360 degrees. So it takes up very little room on your desk. It's got a place for an Apple Watch, actually, I guess the Apple Watch is with a separate dongle. I don't know if it's included in the giveaway. Sorry, like I said, it's not live. It's not
Button it up, Lewis. Button it up.
You can charge your iPhone. You can charge your AirPods for sure. And oh
yeah.
It also, this is one of the most unique things about it. It's got a Mag Easy battery pack in it, right? So you charge your thing on this all day, and then when you're ready to leave, you pop it off there. You take the battery pack with you if you want to make sure you have enough, phone life to last forever. These things list for $129. We're giving away 3 of them. You can go to the homepage of cultofmac.com, scroll down to the giveaway area. There'll be a post there in the next few hours, like there always are. Anyway, that's the giveaway this week. And Mag Easy slider from Pitaka. Get your name in the hat. You might have a chance.
You've got a chance.
Yeah, you might have a good chance.
You might have a good chance. And we are giving away 3, so that triples that good chance into an excellent chance. I don't know what your odds are of winning, but the odds aren't bad. I'll just tell you that much right now.
Probably better than the odds of getting invited to WWDC in-person event.
Yeah. All right. So, and if you're watching live here, or you're watching the replay, I'm showing a review of this Pitaka MagSafe iPhone stand. So this isn't the actual giveaway page. That's not quite up on the website yet, but it will be there. So like Lewis says, just go to cultofmac.com and scroll down to the giveaway section, and it will be the Pitaka charger here instead of this Mophie. This is old news, Lewis. This is the
I
the
know.
Mophie
I'm very upset about the fact that we don't have the latest giveaway quite live yet. But hey, it's been a busy week.
That much is true. All right, let's
The whole thing was true. There's not an ounce of anything that wasn't true.
all the other nonsense that you said were all lies, but that part was definitely true. Let's talk about CarPlay. Now, this is a vision of the future. I don't know if car companies are going to bite for this. Apple mentioned that they had a lot of partners that were on board with CarPlay 2, but that's kind of I feel like that statement is a little misleading because there's probably a lot of ways to implement CarPlay that are not what Apple showed at the keynote event. But this is what I've wanted. This is what I've always wanted ever since CarPlay came out. I mean, I know you all have experience with the infotainment systems and the heads-up displays and all the displays and UIs that go into cars today. And I would say, with the exception of Tesla, they are all absolute dog poop. They're all ugly. They're all difficult to use. They're slow. They're cumbersome. They are not designed well. And then you have Apple's vision for what a car interior can look like. And I don't think there's a person on earth that wouldn't love this picture that we're showing here. It just looks clean. It looks beautiful. It looks like your iPhone. This is all we need. And it seems to me like a win-win scenario. I don't know why car companies are so insistent on trying to develop their own in-car UI systems or their infotainment systems. Like Microsoft Sync, I know has some cars out there. I had a car that had Microsoft Sync. It was awful, terrible. I don't know if it's gotten better. My car was a 2014, and Sync was slow. It was buggy.
Microsoft
it was chaotic.
Sync?
Yeah, exactly. Hello. That's why you get paid
that's
the medium bucks, Lewis. The medium bucks.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know why a car company would want to do this themselves if they could just outsource it to Apple and pay Apple a fee to do this. That just seems like the rare triple win, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to make you wonder, like, what is the whole point of it? Well, what does Apple's do? Does Apple make money if they put CarPlay in the dash?
Oh, undoubtedly they're getting paid a licensing fee.
I wonder how
Without a
much that
doubt,
is.
they're getting paid a lot. They're not doing it. TC's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't design this beautiful UI, this beautiful CarPlay UI, out of the goodness of his heart, Lewis.
Did you catch the stats that they mentioned on stage? They said like 79% of car buyers, like it's a deciding factor. They want a car that has CarPlay in it.
I'm going to guess those
79%.
numbers are inflated, but
I don't know, man. They backed those up backed them up. So I went down to the talk show live recording, and it was Craig Federighi and Jazwiak were there talking with John Gruber, and they talked about that, and he kind of questioned him about it. Like, really, that's like such an overwhelming. And he's like, yeah, you know why? I mean, basically what they said was, yeah, people who like Apple devices are the ones who are buying new cars. They
they're the ones with money.
I don't think he quite came out and said Android people are poor.
Android people are poor. They smell bad and they're ugly. So the car dealerships won't even sell them a car.
But they stand by that number as like a very, very significant number of people like basically demand that their car come with CarPlay, and I can understand why, because you're absolutely right. Anytime you get in a rental car and it's got like you're like, what is this? It's all laggy and everything. I mean, I drive a 20-year-old truck. I was looking at this stuff. I look at it like it looks like a spaceship to me. So I completely feel out of the loop on that stuff. I have just an aftermarket CarPlay thing in my truck, right? And it's okay. I mean, but it's kind of too small. It's too hard to figure it out while you're driving down the road. I mean, having that giant, massive display like that would be so awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you. I lost my where'd it go? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, it looks beautiful. I would love it if all cars implemented this. I mean, it's just so clean and it integrates perfectly with your iPhone, so your map will translate across. Your music can be controlled. This is it. It's just everything that I've ever wanted for CarPlay, and this is something that we've talked about a lot in the past. It's like you got your widgets up there. I mean, it's like your phone, your car becomes a mirror display for your phone, and that's all you need. Like your phone already has everything that you need on it. It has the maps, it has the music. You don't need to reinvent all this in the car. Just give us a way to visualize it and control it in the car. So I hope that car companies are smart enough to let Apple do this. I imagine that there will be some daring car companies like maybe BMW that might allow Apple to do this, but the Toyotas of the world, the Hondas of the world, I just don't see it happening. And to your point about 79% of people who are buying a new car won't buy a car unless it has CarPlay, I think that's probably true for... How do I say this? I think that's probably true for cars that aren't necessarily special.
Like, cars that aren't Teslas.
Because here's the 2022 Ford Bronco, which I love. This is like the car that I want. If I were to buy a new car, it would be this car. I mean, look at this.
Somebody else talking about this week,
dude.
It's like a hot new car.
Oh man, I just love the aesthetic of it. I loved the old Broncos, and the new ones are such a good homage to the older style Broncos. I would get the 4-door with like the soft top, and these things just look burly. So and I think that Ford has a deal with Microsoft. I think they're Ford Sync. So for me, even though I would love CarPlay, and I think that in many instances I would probably not buy a car that doesn't have it, a brand new car. If the car is good enough, like the Ford Bronco, like I don't care if it has CarPlay. I mean, I care, but it wouldn't stop me from buying a Ford Bronco. I just would deal with the fact that I have a crappy, Ford Sync.
Just be irritated by it. Every time you get in the car.
Exactly, it would just suck. But I'm so used to that. I'm so used to that now that oh yeah, look at these things. God, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Do they say anything? Do they have? Maybe Ford will build in CarPlay into this car. I have no idea actually. Like I know that they used to just do exclusively sync, but I don't know if they're still doing that. But yeah, I would prefer to have a brand new car with CarPlay, but I just don't see most car companies letting Apple,
giving the keys to Apple.
Exactly. They're not going to just let you take over the entire interior of their car. And somebody else was saying in one of the comments threads that I was reading, like this would be really distracting. Like these interior displays are so beautiful that you would find yourself just looking at them instead of looking at the road. I think that actually might be true.
It's like anything else. You get blind to it. But the only thing I find really annoying about CarPlay now is that it's so small.
Yeah.
And like you can get to everything, but it's not that simple, right? You're reaching across your car, you're tapping this little tiny screen, and you're hoping that you hit the right thing as you go down the road. It's it could be better. And of course, using she who must not be named is hit and miss. But I don't know, man. I love the idea of having it spread out like that.
Me too.
Music in one
too.
panel. Because I always want to switch between music or podcasts. I want to switch into that's actually one of the hardest things. Like getting to the one you want to listen to is not that easy, unless you can use Siri.
Yeah, Apple has something that most companies don't have, and that is like really competent, talented design talent. And as much as the car companies have tried, their systems, their interior systems, their infotainment systems, they're really just terrible. They're slow. They don't look nice. They're hard to figure out. And like my Honda, I have a Honda Odyssey minivan, and it has like Honda's version of the infotainment system. It's horrendous. It's truly one of the worst interactive systems I've ever worked with. I'm just going to repeat myself. Yeah, it's just not good. So let's see here. We got Level Remix saying that, did you say a Ford Bronco has Apple CarPlay? I'm still not buying one, but that's good to know.
It does?
That's what he's saying, yeah. I mean, he could be a liar. Are you a dirty liar, Level Remix? I will find you, and I will discipline you in front of your friends and family if you lied to me.
It says they include Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if most car companies are doing that now. I just don't know how resistant they are, but maybe they've finally given up. Maybe they know that there's no reason to pursue their own systems anymore. They can just outsource it to Apple, let Apple do it, and meanwhile, Apple will perfect their own CarPlay system for their own Apple Car, which will come out and eventually destroy all the other cars on the market, and we'll all just be scooting around in the Apple Car. But yeah.
Did we even discuss? I mean, like they're talking about, like, as it says here in the notes, right? You use it to turn on the AC, turn it off, turn on your heat or your seat heaters. Everything, every single thing would be handled through CarPlay. That's crazy deep integration.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think for those listening, it may not be obvious since we're looking at all these pictures here. But yeah, it would take over all the interior controls of your car. Like, that's Apple's vision of CarPlay.
Your speedometer is part of CarPlay. Your engine RPM, everything. How much gas you have left, how much charge you have left in your EV.
Your seat heat, your seat cooling, absolutely everything. And who better to do it? Who is better at organizing software, buttons, and layouts and functionality than Apple? There's no one that's better.
Yeah. So check this out. This is from Emily Schubert, Apple's Senior Manager of Car Experience Engineering. This is what she said in the thing. Your iPhone communicates with your vehicle's real-time systems in an on-device, privacy-friendly way, showing all of your driving information like speed, RPMs, fuel level, temperature, and more. And no matter what type of unique screen shapes or layouts you may have, this next generation of CarPlay feels like it was made specifically for your car. That's a pretty bold statement.
So they must have designed it to be dynamic so that they can fit it to different screen orientations and positions and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's got to be like the big challenge, I would think. But I wonder how customizable it would be. Will you be able to say, "Oh, I always want my music right here.
Interesting.
I always want the podcast right here.
I always want my YouTube videos right in front of my steering wheel so I can see them while I'm driving."
I'm sorry, I can't place those there.
I still don't. I don't know if car companies are going to be on board with this. I still don't know. I don't follow car companies closely enough to know what the sentiment is in the industry for having a third-party company like Apple completely take over the organization of the heads-up displays and all the visual systems inside your car. Like, do they want Apple to do that? I think they probably want Apple to do it to a certain degree. It's like, oh, if you want to like allow a map on the screen, or you can control your music, or take a phone call, but do I really want you controlling the entire instrument cluster as well? I don't know.
Speaking of clusters, I was a little bit confused by the whole, or not confused, but just like, overwhelmed by everything that was going on. I don't actually remember them talking about when this kind of thing would be ready. I mean, are they talking about this is ready in iOS 16, or are they talking about like this is our brand, our grand plan for the future?
Yeah, so I don't know if they actually put a date to it other than it's coming sometime next year. They said that they're working with car makers to bring the new system to vehicles later next year.
Later next year? Okay.
In a slide shown on screen, Apple listed more than a dozen car manufacturers, including Ford, Honda, Mercedes, Audi, Land Rover. But
later next year, so that might even not even be in this version of iOS, huh?
It's probably going to be supported in this version of iOS, would be my guess, but not implemented until next year. Obviously, they need the car companies to add this stuff in.
It seems like a super complicated thing to get, just even from just a, partnership perspective.
Yeah, and I don't know how many car companies are on board with this full vision, as opposed to just like, yeah, we'll take a snippet of it. We'll take that little piece of it. But anyway, CarPlay. Let's move on, Lewis. Let's talk about, I think, one of the things that really blew people away, and that is being able to remove subjects from their backgrounds with just a click, Lewis, just a tap.
Yeah, this was amazing. What I think in just looking at a picture of a bulldog, right? You just look at that thing, you tap on it on your iPhone screen, hold on it for a second, a little magic lasso goes around it, and voila, cuts out the picture of the bulldog. You can paste it into your Messages app, instant bulldog sticker. Kind of shocking. I thought about all the, there's all these apps out there that let you do this kind of thing to various levels of success, right? And now it's just going to be on every iPhone, and I don't know. It looked great. Again, I haven't used it. It'll be interesting to see how well it actually works. But what Robbie Walker, Apple's Senior Director of Siri and Language Technology, said to the show was, it feels like magic. It's actually the product of an advanced machine learning model, which is accelerated by Core ML and the neural engine to perform, get this, 40 billion operations in just milliseconds. 40 billion!
So many operations.
But it did look smooth as could be, didn't it? It looked absolutely astonishingly great, like something that you'd struggle to do in Photoshop.
Oh yeah, well, Photoshop has really sophisticated tools for subject removal. I mean, that's one of the prime things that people use Photoshop for. And as someone who's been creating like YouTube images for years, I have seen the progression of tools in Photoshop, and they have the best tools I think that are out there for removing subjects from backgrounds. It's like one of the prime things people do. I will say though, this does seem to work quite well in a lot of different scenarios. I mean, enough so that this is going to be the technology that powers a whole new generation of meme lords. The meme lords are going to love this, right? I mean, it's just so easy to do. And I think that it produces pleasing results in many scenarios. I have seen this really screw up horrendously in a lot of different scenarios, like particularly there's things that are just tricky to do. Like if you were removing a person from a background that's very busy, or the background has similar colors to the person in the foreground, this is not going to work on that. I mean, even in Photoshop has a hard time with those types of scenarios, and it will require a manual touch to really do those perfectly. But if you don't care about getting things perfect every time, if you're just using this for quick crops or quick subject removals, you're sending text to people, I think that this is going to be extremely powerful for like probably 85% of the scenarios, 90% of the scenarios that are out there, because it seems to work so well. And if you have a subject that is very different from its background, I think that this actually works extraordinarily well at just grabbing those out in an instant. And this can be a time-consuming thing to do. I mean, I've spent time in Photoshop doing this, and you could easily spend 20 minutes removing something from its background. So this is going to save people time as well.
That's what I mean. My experience, I've tried to do that stuff too. I'm no Photoshop wizard, but anytime I've tried to do something like that, it's a little bit complicated. I mean, this looked very easy, very fast. I mean, again, it's an Apple demo, so who knows?
Yeah,
I haven't got to use it, but I mean, didn't you think it looked pretty astonishing?
Yeah, I did, but being somewhat of an expert on this topic, I know that it's easy to choose examples that
Sure.
are easy to remove, and that seems to be what they were showing. Like, I actually saw a Luke Miani video, and he was testing this out, and he did some more complex examples, and this failed hard.
Oh, really?
And like, there was one picture that he did where it was like a furry cat against the background, and like someone was petting the cat, and you could tell like the perimeter around the cat's fur, there was all this background that got pulled out with the cat, and then like the entire arm of the person petting the cat was like dismembered, and it's attached to the cat. It's still like, so like I mean this is good for quick jobs, but there's gonna be a ton of scenarios where it's not gonna produce a pleasing result if you need something to be really precise. Or as somebody with curly hair, I am intimately aware with how software fails with hair that is somewhat unruly. Like if you have curls, it just wants to chop all your curls off and get as close to having a smooth line around your head as it can, which if you have smooth hair, it works great, But as a non-smooth hair person, it doesn't quite work so well for me. So I'm looking forward to trying it. Huh?
Differently tressed.
Differently tressed. As a differently tressed person, I can speak to this intimately. So we'll see how well this actually works. But again, I think for most people, they don't care if it's perfect. They just want to pull something out really quick. And if you have a clean foreground against a clean background, I think that this is going to work extraordinarily well in those cases and give you a pleasing result. I don't really know what people are going to do with this, to be honest. I was trying to think like they kept showing people texting things to people. I'm like, how often do you need to pull a picture?
Day.
How often do you need to pull a picture of your kid? That's why I was joking. Like it's technology for the meme lords. Like if you're creating memes, this is going to be perfect. But if you're just a normie, like what are you going to be doing with this technology? I'm not totally sure. I mean, it's cool. I'm happy that it's here, and I'm excited to try it out. But I just don't know from a everyday perspective, like a normal person perspective, like what are you going to be What are you going to be extracting? Give me an
All
example, Lewis.
the things.
What are you going to be extracting? What's Lewis going to be extracting?
I guess it's true. I mean, why wouldn't I just send a whole picture, right? But
Yeah.
there's all kinds of cool things you could do with that. I mean,
Sure.
Everybody's always sending stickers and stuff. What the heck? It's gonna be.
Well, shoot. I mean, if you want to
it works
create like text stickers, you could do that with this. That would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, in true Apple fashion, they don't have a way for you to like to alter the results, which is one of the things I really hate that Apple does. It's like they just want to do it for you. And if they get it right, great. But if not, it's like, well, sorry, start over, or it's just not possible.
Really?
I wish they would give you a way to isolate things within the image or remove different parts that shouldn't have been put in there when you're doing the isolations, right? Like I wish they had made this a little bit more advanced rather than just, but I guess they were going for easy. So it makes sense that they didn't. Let's see here. How long have we been going, Lewis?
What day is it?
We've been going for an hour and 30 minutes, Lewis. Well, no, we've been live for an hour, and we're not even close to done.
Oh my God.
So let's see if we can power through the rest of this stuff. All right, let's talk about the updates to the Home app here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Now, the Home app has gotten a complete makeover, which is cool. It's not the thing that I think was most exciting to me, even though I think the Home app actually really did need a makeover. But they completely redesigned it from the ground up, and they are integrating Matter support, which is due to launch later this year, and it might even come out like the same time that iOS 16 comes out. And Apple's going to be adding Matter support to the Home app. In fact, they said that they gave HomeKit over to be like the core of the Matter technology, the Matter standard. And Matter is a new standard that should allow HomeKit and the Home app to work with a lot more devices. So all devices that support Matter should all be able to work together with all the different technology companies. So like Google, Siri, Alexa. And that's why I'm excited about this change, because HomeKit support is limited, right? And if you go to any store, you'll see tons of accessories that work with Google, that work with Alexa, but there's almost never any that work with HomeKit. And when you do find them, they're always more expensive. And so I'm hoping that this means that you're going to be able to use all the devices that are built for Alexa and built for Google, and you'll be able to finally use those with HomeKit as well, because that would give us access to a whole ecosystem of products that are usually much cheaper than HomeKit products and would instantly give us access to all of this stuff that's out there that doesn't even exist for HomeKit. Like, I think I was reading there was like some vacuum out there that works with voice command with Google and Alexa. I don't remember all the details, but it doesn't work with HomeKit because they didn't get licensed for HomeKit. And so I'm hoping this change means that we're going to get access to more technology that works with HomeKit, and then also cheaper technology, which is all the stuff that works with Google and Alexa and doesn't work with HomeKit, which I know you're a big fan of HomeKit stuff, Lewis. So
and having more options would be great. Having stuff that works more reliably would be great. I still have occasional problems with the HomeKit stuff. I don't really know why. I can't get to the bottom of it.
Really, my HomeKit stuff has been really reliable. That's one of the things that I've liked about it the most is I feel like when I set automations, like they just always work. And
well, yeah, but what I have problems with is when I say like, "Hey, Siri, open the or unlock the door," and it says, "Oh, did you want to unlock the whatever door?" You're like, yeah, that's exactly what I said. So I tap yes, and say, "Okay," and then a lot of times I'm walking down up to that door, and as I approach it, I hear the door unlock, and then I hear my phone say, "I'm sorry, that device is taking longer than expected to respond." I'm like, it literally just opened.
That happens to me all the time, actually.
What is up with that?
That exact scenario that you just talked about happens to me all the time. Or I will tell who to unlock the door, and I get to the door, and the door just doesn't unlock. So
Yeah,
I don't know why that specific interaction seems to take so long.
it's nuts. And I've also found that if you do that voice command, and a lot of times it's faster if you just go into the app and
Yep.
slide to unlock, and then it works instantly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Shocking. It has something to do with Siri.
I know. I still can't believe that they're the same people working on Siri. I mean, I can't. Can you imagine? Like, what is the Siri office like? Is it just a bunch of sad sacks sitting around going, "Gee, we really can't make it work right"? I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's like the one part of the Apple ecosystem that is relentlessly pathetic.
And they're bringing the automatic punctuation to dictation. Like, they're bringing all these new dictation features to iOS 16. And I was just giggling to myself. I'm like, let's just wait and see how this works, right? Like, automatic punctuation in dictation in iOS 16. That is a bold attempt, because right now it can't even get simple sentences right, and now you're going to allow it to insert punctuation on its own.
and you can go like back and forth between text and tapping touch stuff, which actually sounds really promising, again, if it works properly, because right now hardly anything does with regard to that stuff. It's just,
well, that's the irony of that feature, isn't it? Is the fact that it's so unreliable. The dictation is so unreliable that they have to give you a way to keep the keyboard open so that you can like correct things on the fly. And
I wonder if it'll be fighting with you. Like, you say Lewis, it spells it wrong. You go in and correct it, and it changes it back to like third.
You're sitting there like,
Lewis, even as you're doing it, you're just gonna be arm wrestling with Siri. Come on.
I don't know. I'll reserve my judgment for when iOS 16 comes out. But that was one of the things that I did think was quite comical, and I'm like, let's wait and see how good this is. I would love if they actually got it right and
me too.
And dictation actually worked. And maybe having the ability to update things with the keyboard while you're still dictating is the answer, so you'll be able to fix things on the fly. But I mean, dictation is so bad. I mean, it's just become a joke. We all know how terrible it is, and I feel like you spend more time fixing it after you've created a message than you would have if you would have just typed it out to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if, for instance, if they you start going back and forth like that and fixing stuff, it'll actually learn. Oh, this is how I spell Lewis. Oh, this is Wallace is the name that typically comes after Lewis that sounds anything at all like Wallace. I hope that they are able to do that. I mean, that's back in the old days of speech recognition. That's how it worked. And I remember from when voice recognition first became not just discrete words one at a time. When it was first, you could do a whole sentence, and it required a big hard drive, and every time that you were done with a session of using this software, it was called Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yeah, I remember that.
Every time you got done with it, you'd save your file, and you'd have these gigantic user files. I mean, it was your user file. So, I mean, apparently your iPhone is doing something like this, but how much data they're storing, how much they're learning from corrections you make. I mean, that was what was the big thing with Dragon Naturally Speaking was basically they said, okay, if you're using it and you're not correcting it, don't save your files because you don't want to corrupt them or basically pollute them. And if you're very careful about it and you say, oh, this is what that word sounds like and what I meant it to be, and then you save it and then it learns. And so it'll be interesting to see if they're able to have it actually learn more. I mean, because now it just seems like it's the opposite of learning. It's just getting more and more ridiculous.
We got Chuckle in the chat. Chuckle.
No.
He's saying, why is dictation on the Apple Watch so much better than on the iPhone? I don't know about that, but it might be because it's always on. How many times a day do you look down and your Apple Watch is dictating everything that you've been saying for the last 2 minutes? Happens to be all the freaking time. My watch turns on and just starts dictating everything that I'm saying. And the other thing is like I feel like dictation on the Apple TV also works quite well. Maybe because you can like hold the microphone, like the controller, right up to your mouth. But I feel like the Apple TV dictation is like one of the best that exists.
I mean, it's pretty good at recognizing it. It doesn't seem to correct
Get it
itself the
right.
way the
Oh, okay.
iPhone does all the time. But whether or not you get the results you asked for is a whole other thing.
I feel like the reason that the iPhone is always sluggish is because it has to like connect to Apple's servers, and it interacts with Apple's servers to get direction on what you're actually saying. And so it's slow, and it will try to do it. It will try to do it itself, and you can see that it's transcribing as you're speaking it, and it sometimes will get it right or wrong, and then it'll connect like to Apple's server, and then it will change the words that were being spoken, and sometimes it gets that right or gets it wrong. Like it's just so unpredictable, you know?
I think it's all done on device, man. I don't think any of that's going to Apple server.
Oh, so it's just slow. It seems like it's connecting to Apple because it will you'll be speaking, and then like maybe 5-10 seconds into your and into your audio, it will just start changing stuff. So maybe it's like calculating what it thinks you're
right. It's
saying
just it's like some kind of person who's just got too much time on their hands. It's just like can't stop thinking. Let's try this.
And the best is when it had it right, and then it starts changing everything to be totally wrong.
All the time. Just right as you're hitting send, it changes. I've had that happen so many times. Thank God for the unsend that's coming in the in iOS 16 because that's not at all what I said. Yeah, that's the most maddening when it changes it from the right thing to the wrong thing as you're pressing send.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Okay, let's talk about. We gotta move through this, Lewis. Look at this. Look at this.
We're mired down.
I knew this was gonna happen. There's just way too much stuff in here to talk about. Let's talk about iPad finally getting the feature that we have been wanting, and that is the window mode, Lewis. The beloved window mode.
The iPad power users are going crazy.
All 50 of them, yeah.
So finally, the new multitasking system that lets you use floating windows on iPad is called Stage Manager.
Yep.
And this is Craig Federighi speaking at the event. He said, with Stage Manager activated, I can now resize windows, exposing a powerful new way to work with apps on iPad. And the dock is visible, so I can easily get to all my apps. I don't know if you saw it, but so you get a big screen, you get a little like a kind of a mini dock off to the left, right? And these apps and app document clusters kind of float around, and they're floating in space, and they move. And I don't know, it looked a little different, and it looked a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Our main iPad guy, Ed Hardy, took a look at it. He finally posted a hands-on. He spent a couple days messing around with it, and he thinks it's really good. It's changed the way he works with his iPad. This is something he's been clamoring for, right? He's a guy who uses the iPad a lot. Uses it with a keyboard and mouse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it does give it more of a Mac-like feel. One of the things that and this is also mentioned at that talk show live. They went, Federighi was talking, kind of defending it, right? Because Stage Manager has gotten it's taken some heat. Some people are like, and of course they're judging the beta, right? But they're saying, oh, it's clunky, it's this, it's that. But he's like, hey, look, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. I mean, well, you have to like go into Control Center and turn it on if you want it to work.
Yeah, it's like an advanced. It's like an advanced feature.
Yeah, well, it's just a different way of interacting with your iPad, And if you like the way the iPad works, and you don't have any need to multitask or do any of that stuff, you absolutely don't ever have to even experience this. But I don't know. Ed gave it pretty much qualified thumbs up. Like, hey, for beta, this works pretty well. Does a lot of things we were hoping it would do. It's not as sort of impossible to discover as current slide over and split view, which I years later still don't really know how to invoke those properly every time.
Me either. I don't think that I don't think that they make that much sense from a UI perspective, to be honest with you. And I just find them to be really claustrophobic to split the screen. You have like one little narrow slice of your iPad that's being used for like your browser or something, and then the rest of the 3/4 of it. I don't know.
The world's tallest, thinnest web page.
That's kind of like what my what my apprehension is for this feature as well, is like you have like these windows that are constantly, well, they're not constantly, they slide off the screen if you move a window too close to them, but you have like these thumbnails residing on the left side of your iPad screen, and they're just constantly there. And the iPad screen isn't that big, so I don't know if you're gonna have enough space to really have multiple windows open. But I am not gonna be the one that complains about this feature, because this is pretty much exactly what I've been asking for. It looks like it is quite a clever way to keep as much real estate as you can on an app and still have your other apps visible to you, so you can see what's going on and you can see the thumbnails of the activity that's happening in those apps, and then you just tap them to move the focus to one of those different apps. So I think this looks like quite a smart solution, and now you can see the background of your iPad, which is always what I've wanted. I don't know why, but it feels. I feel like it just. I like the airiness of it. It's a little less claustrophobic, and then also they added actual monitor support for your iPad, so you can actually extend your iPad to another monitor, which I think that
tapping it constantly.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be an iPad as a computer user. All these things seem like compromises to make it more like Mac OS, and I'm like, why jump through all these hoops when you could just use Mac OS? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. It's like, oh, well, I want something that's really thin. Okay, well, we'll get a MacBook Air. The new one is fantastic. So I don't know why you would even this, as good as it is, it does seem like a compromise to Mac OS. And
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I think if you only have the money for one device, and you want the best of both worlds, maybe the iPad Pro is the way to go, and you want to use it like a laptop sometimes. So,
yeah, I just feel like by the time you add the keyboard and you get a well spec'd out iPad, it's the same price as a MacBook Air. It might even be more.
Right, but then you have an iPad. People love the iPad.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, all right. So if you really want the dual,
if you only have one device,
yeah,
I mean, if I was thinking about buying one, I could easily see how that would make me more likely to buy an iPad, because hey, now I can actually use it more like a MacBook.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's for a free feature. It's great, right? It adds new functionality to your iPad, and it makes it much more like a computer.
Well,
so
it brings new functionality to your M1 powered iPad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I want to be clear about that once again. It only is going to work with the M1 powered iPad.
Yeah. So this actually won't even work on my iPad. So I guess I won't. I guess I won't get to try this,
Charlie.
Yeah. Because I'm not buying a new iPad to get some productivity features. So I guess I'm going to be SOL on this one. But they are bringing this feature to the Mac as well, so I'll get to try it there. And at least I hope. Are they? Now, you weren't sure. You said earlier that you thought it was just the M1.
Well, I think I might have been confused.
Okay. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if they were able to bring it to the Intel MacBook Pro, but not to the like the older generation iPads, like the iPad Pros that we have? Now that would be interesting. So I'll get to try it, and I think this is something that I would definitely use on the Mac, because I often do have a lot of windows open, and I feel like it would be useful to have these little thumbnails live off on the left-hand side of the screen, so I could see exactly what other windows I have open and quickly switch to those things, especially when I'm like editing and need to be switching around to different apps, while I'm doing that process. So this is something I can try out on the Mac OS. So there you go. I hope that for all you iPad users who have been clamoring for a way to use their iPad more like a Mac, are happy with this. I know I've seen a lot of people who are super thrilled that you get the second screen support for the iPad, which I think makes this as close as it's ever been to a real live computer, to an actual, like Mac OS computer. Let's see here. One of the final things I think we wanted to mention is the fact that we didn't get any VR or VR, AR or VR at all. Nothing, Lewis.
Yeah, crickets, total crickets. And, some of us have been thinking that perhaps they were going to even show off this long rumored headset, right? Or at the very least, like, just mention it and start showing developers what they could do, But, yeah, nothing.
Well, I'm glad they
Uh,
didn't release whatever image we have here on to Mac. Like, what the heck is this
like
thing?
so yeah. Now the latest thing. This is coming from Ming Chi Kuo, the Apple analyst, who's
Yep.
pretty right a lot of the time. He's now saying that Apple is probably going to announce, take the wraps off the headset at a special event in January 2023. He said that this is him talking. I believe Apple's AR/MR headset shipping date will postpone to 2Q23, second quarter 23, because of the Shanghai lockdown, which has interrupted development. And this thing, it just keeps there's we had these recent rumors, right, that they'd shown it off to the Apple executive board, right? So and it's all these references to Reality OS are leaking out. It's like, come on, they're gonna show it off at the WWDC. But I think it was Quo right before the event. He's like, yeah, they're not gonna show it because they don't want to give people a heads up about what they're up to. They don't want copycats to beat them to market, and they've been delayed from a hardware perspective because of the COVID lockdowns in China. So, yeah, he laid out his timeline. He says that the EVT, what does that mean? Some kind of validation testing, starting in the third quarter of 2022. That's coming up real fast. Media event January 2023. Delivery of development toolkit 2 to 4 weeks after that media event. Pre-orders starting in second quarter of 2023, and they hitting store shelves before WWDC 2023.
Oh, okay. So just a full year from now. That's good to know.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? A lot of people point out that's basically what they did with the iPhone. Like, here, look at this thing we're going to release, and then 6 months later, there it is. So we'll see. I mean, I'm getting more and more interested in it just because of all the stuff I'm reading about it. But
yeah,
I'm also every now and then I read like, well, this would be great for navigation. I'm like, oh, so now people are gonna be wearing this thing outside? What? I don't know. To me, it sounds like something you're gonna sit on your couch and watch movies or be an avatar in a meeting. It sounds like what it's, or play games. That's what it sounds like it's for. But then there's all these other things, like the AR part of it. I still don't quite understand. So it will be interesting. I can't. I really wish they would have shown something or talked, because I'm just getting more and more curious about it. Maybe that's their whole deal. They want people to be super curious about it, because I never was even all that interested in this stuff. But the more I hear about it, the more weird possibilities that get floated, the more I'm like, I just want to know. I just want to know.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for so long, and we've seen so many renders, both good and really terrible. So we're supposed to see what the damn thing looks like. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with a quick rundown of all the cool features from iOS 16.
I'm sorry. Did you say quick?
Yeah, a quick rundown. And by quick, I mean less than an hour. Let's take less than an hour to do a quick rundown of all the cool features for iOS 16, Mac OS, and then we'll do some Watch OS stuff as well. Unfortunately, Apple OS seems to have got almost nothing, so there's not much to say there. And we've already talked about the iPad OS most interesting features. And a lot of these features are actually, they're more at an app level, so they're across all the systems. So a lot of what you hear about in iOS 16 is also coming to the Mac. So what were you going to say, Lewis?
That was one of the really interesting things that they talked about at that talk show live. They were saying, like, basically, like, when they were trying to figure out how to frame how to set up the event that they had, right? Like, do we do it by system? Do we build? And it's like, okay, well, we'll talk about iOS here, and then we'll mention this thing. But then sometimes they didn't even explicitly say, like, oh, it's going to work across all these things. But almost all these things they're talking about, even if it's wedged in the iPad OS thing, it's still it works on all three platforms. It's kind of wild the way everything is kind of coming together, and becoming more. I don't know, just
unified.
Yeah, coming together and becoming more unified. I mean,
and a lot of parallels too.
Right? But it's like the sort of like the fact that they're all on the same kind of chip apparently makes it much easier for them to roll out all these kinds of things across all their platforms all at once.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if you're in the chat, let me know what your favorite features are. I'm curious what what you guys what you came away with. Like when you watched the keynote, you're like, okay, this was the coolest thing that I saw. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let's talk about iOS 16 first, and this will be the one that has the most features to talk about here. But let's just kind of like blast through this. We talked about instantly lifting subjects from photos. The meme lords are gonna love it. The live texture feature, or the live text feature, which is something that I use all the time, like being able to highlight text within photos. That is coming to video, Lewis. I don't know if you knew that.
Shocking. No.
That's gonna be really useful. Also, they're adding the ability to do live translations with the camera app. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Looking at your wait, live translation, like of somebody talking.
No, visual translations.
Oh yeah,
visual translations. Yeah.
Like it's I remember they showed that with like the recipe menu, right?
Yeah.
Like you're looking at a menu in Italy and you're going, what is in this?
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah.
God, everything's so instantaneous.
Catching up with Google.
Days. iCloud shared photo library. This was huge. So for anyone that is married with kids, it's like, dude, what are you supposed to do with all these photos that live on your family members' devices? And now you have a way to just automatically share the photos into a shared photo library so you can both have them. There's a little icon that you can turn on that will automatically dump photos into your shared library if you have it turned on. Also, you can set it so that when you're in close proximity to your other family members, those photos automatically go into your photo library. They added a lot of really powerful tools to allow you to define when you want photos to go into your shared library or when you want them to go into your personal library. And this is something that as somebody with a family, it's like I've been trying to manage this myself forever, and now they're going to do it for you or give you tools to do it. So that was a huge feature for me. Also, I'm sure it will make it easier for you to chew through your storage. Which Apple's
they didn't offer a bump up, did they?
Nothing.
On the iCloud
Not a
store?
peep.
Nope, not even a mention.
Not even a mention. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm getting close. I'm like within 400 gigabytes of running out of iCloud storage space,
baby.
and I'm like, what do I do after that? I don't know. Let's see here. Oh man, this is another really cool quality of life feature. Now you'll be able to add multiple stops to your map routes. Revolutionary feature, right?
Wow, how did they ever come up with that?
That was a new and novel one. I heard Tim was extra squinty, lost in thought for days with his fingers on his temples before he perked up and everyone got their notepads out and he's like, multiple stops in maps, y'all. And they all were completely floored. They couldn't believe it. Let's see here. Massive improvements to mail, of course. You have the ability to undo send. You have the ability to mark emails to follow up with them later. And you can send emails later. This is a feature that, God, how did it take them this long to do it? I don't know. But those are massive improvements to mail that are hugely practical. I feel like I would use the send later feature all the time. Like, usually when I'm able to write emails, it's after everyone's already gone home for the day. Like, I want them to show up like, boom, 8 a.m. It's like, whoa, that Irfan, he's up early. He's sending an email early, right? This guy's a go-getter. And then there's messages, which are another big area of improvement, right? So you get the ability to undo a sent message. You can edit a message after it's been sent, and you can mark messages as read. So if someone is like been texting you, and you're like, yeah, I'm not trying to read all those. You just mark them all as read. That's going to be super useful. Of course, there's the lock screen widget stuff, which, you know what? I was a little underwhelmed by. It looks cool, and they completely reimagined the lock screen, which I liked the direction that they're going. Now the notifications appear at the bottom of the screen, and you can swipe them down to dismiss all the notifications, which puts the focus on all of your widgets up at the top of the lock screen, which is cool. But I just didn't see, I don't know. I guess I just didn't see as much widget variety as I was hoping for. I guess that's to be expected. I'm sure that will happen eventually when developers are able to create their own widgets. But I just didn't see anything that was super impressive. What about you, Lewis?
Well, I just kept thinking, geez, now it's like an Apple Watch. You can do what you want. You can have it look the way you want. I thought it looked cool enough. I mean, the thing that I actually found the most interesting about that was the stuff they were talking about with focus mode and how you could have a different lock screen for a different focus mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might say, oh, set up and a different home screen to go with it, right? So maybe you set up a work phone setup. So you got, Slack and email and messages, whatever you need. And then you have like a sports one, like if you're going to be watching sports, you just have all your sports apps on there. I don't know. I thought that sounded actually pretty cool. Like an interesting way of tapping into the potential of the iPhone, because I mean, the iPhone is, I don't know about you, it's a thing that I use, I would say, more than anything else in my entire life. That is the thing that I constantly have with me.
Even more than your Flask?
I need a Flask iPhone case is what I need. But it's also this thing that's like, it's kind of a one size fits all. I mean, I realize I could set up different screens and stuff, home screens, different. What am I trying to say? I could organize things differently, right?
Right.
But the ability to say, oh, I want only these apps when I'm doing this kind of thing, that to me sounded really powerful. I haven't actually heard many people talking about this, but it sounds like a great way to turn the iPhone into a productivity machine, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that struck you that way, but I actually got a little bit excited about that.
Hearing you talk about it, I'm a little more. I don't want to paint it as though I'm like I didn't like it, because I think the changes they made were actually really useful. But I guess I was expecting them to do more than what they did. Is where I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the full vision. But this is phase one. I'm sure they'll make it even better as the years go on. But I'm looking at this picture of this iPhone with the time, and it's got like the weather and like a timer and your activity bars and across the top. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? That really is useful. Like, just having some insights into common apps that you use on the lock screen. That is definitely useful. I mean, especially because I'm tapping my phone all the time, so I can see the time or if I have notifications or something. So I'm being a little too hard to impress here.
I mean, think about it. You could have like you say, oh, I want to have a focus for, I'm going out to see a live show. Yeah. And what do I want on my home screen? I want the camera. I want, pick the, some, like maybe
the
you
weather.
want to have, Twitter or something. You want to put up picture. Yeah, I want the weather for the. There's all kinds of things you could imagine customizing that would be actually helpful. I think it's pretty cool.
Me too.
I was a little bit surprised. I mean, it's a little bit weird thinking about them giving up that essential real estate, right? Like now it can look as. You can go full GeoCities on it, right?
And you know what? It's a complete reimagining of the lock screen too, because normally you just have notifications, or in my case, lack of notifications, because my iPhone still does not give me notifications across the board reliably. Even all this time later, I need to completely wipe my phone.
You need to dig in some settings.
I've done it, dude. I've tried it so many times. Nothing I get to nothing I tweak changes anything. It just doesn't work. Like, notifications on my phone just don't work, and I don't know why.
That's bizarre.
Anyway, so complete reimagining of the lock screen to give you insights into different information for apps rather than just a bunch of notifications, which is cool. Let's talk about Mac OS. Honestly, for Ventura, like, as much as I love Mac OS, there wasn't really a ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, like I said, most of it has to do with apps that are being updated, like Mail. You get all the same features that we talked about in Mail on the Mail app in Mac OS Ventura, which is cool. And another cool thing is, like, I grew up in Ventura County, Lewis. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did they clear this with you?
They didn't, and my high-powered legal team is in discussion with TC about the naming conventions and the royalties I'll need to receive. So I'll let you know about that. But let's talk about some Mac OS Ventura features. So we get continuity camera with desk view. We talked about that earlier. Very cool. FaceTime call handoff. How do they not think of doing this before? I mean, how many times have you been on a FaceTime call and you're like, I'm on my computer. I'm gonna hang up and call you back on my phone. It's like, happens to be all the time. So being able to just hand off from one device to another, really useful. You're getting a brand new weather app. I know You can't believe it.
Oh, how
A
can they,
brand
how
new
can they,
clock app.
how did they come up with this?
Well, now that the chips are all using the same architecture, they can just make the devices work on no matter the device that you're using. So,
Shovelware.
you know what I mean? Shovel it right onto there. You get the same subject removal and visual lookup on the Mac as well. You'll have smart dictation. This is going to be a big one. Smart
In
dictation
quotes.
with automatic punctuation. What could go wrong? You get all the same mail improvements, like I mentioned. You get they talked about this freeform Apple freeform whiteboard app, which they talked about a little bit. Let's see here if I can.
They talked about that in the iPad section of the presentation, right?
Yeah, so that's coming to the Mac as well.
Yeah.
It is a
that looks pretty
whiteboard
cool.
collaboration app. Yeah, here we go.
That looked pretty cool.
Whoops. Yeah, it did look like it was interesting to me as well. So you can collaborate with people to take notes and build out whiteboards, which I don't know. I can't envision a scenario in which I would use this, but
Oh, I absolutely can. Think about, you're saying, oh, we need to have a graphic for this series of articles we're writing for Cult of Mac.
Yep.
Oh, here's my first look at the thing. Okay, well, it'd be awesome if you could move this here, and we need to put this here and do this. And you're writing on this on your iPad, and it's showing up in the other. I think it's awesome.
All right, you sold me. So that's coming to the Mac, and they also added a new video game menu panel and preferences, which unfortunately I don't have a screenshot of here. So, but it's a way for you to fine tune the video game controllers that you have connected to your Mac, so you can specify what buttons do what commands. And then also they added Nintendo Switch controller support, which they didn't just add Nintendo Switch controller support. They added support for the Switch controllers in all its various permutations. So you can, if you're familiar with the Nintendo Switch, it comes with these two tiny controllers, and you can use those controllers in different orientations. So you can use each small controller as its own controller, or you can snap them into this unified controller housing, for lack of a better way to describe it. Let me see if I can find it. And Nintendo Switch controller housing. I don't know if that's what it's called, but
I must have fallen asleep during this part of the.
No, they didn't talk about
presentation.
this. I don't think at the keynote. But it is included in Mac OS Ventura. I can't find it anyway. So the Mac OS will allow you to control the controllers that attach to Mac OS, and then also it added support for Switch controllers, and you can use the Switch controllers by themselves or in the unified orientation with the controller housing that ships with the Switch, which if you don't use a Switch, that doesn't mean anything to you. But if you do use a Switch, that's pretty cool. So it's a really well thought through support.
And this just means that you'll be able to use this novel controller to play Apple Arcade games?
Yeah, you'll be able to use it.
So, and it's just a different kind of controller that's better? Is that... I've never seen a Nintendo Switch. But so that's what it is, right? It's just,
you've never even seen a Nintendo
I've seen
Switch.
a picture of one. Where would I see one?
I don't know. Out at the store. Oh, look, I found a picture. Thank you. Mac Rumors has a picture of it. So here you go. Here's a picture. It has a new game controller section, and you can disconnect or connect controllers, and then you can configure the controllers for your specific Mac. Do they have anything here about... No, they don't have anything here about the Switch controller support. That's too bad. But it looks like they've got a great screenshot of the pre-installed background sounds for the Mac. And so that you'll be able to listen to the calming waves of an ocean or a forest, those background sounds that you get with, I think originally came to the HomePod, right? And are available on iOS. Now they're coming to Mac OS as well.
I had completely forgotten about this.
You don't ever use these things?
No, do you?
I like the brown noise. I'm a big fan of brown noise, Lewis.
Oh my God. I don't even like the sound of the term brown noise.
The brown noise is actually a really calming frequency. We use it. I don't always use it from iOS, but we have sound machines all over my house. We live or die by sound machines, because when your kids are sleeping, they need some background noise to not be woken up. And then when you're sleeping, you need background noise so you don't have to hear your kids,
I see.
Because as soon as they get up at 6:15 in the morning, they're screaming at the top of their lungs. They don't take an hour to wake up and have their coffee. It's like, nope, they woke up and they're at full volume. And as soon as my son wakes up, he just starts yelling at the top of his lungs. He just starts yelling,
Wow.
all done, and he just yells it and yells it and yells it until someone comes in and gets him.
Wow.
Isn't that great? Isn't that fun, Lewis?
I'm missing out, I guess.
I'm gonna send you some of those background recordings.
Great.
I think that's it, Lewis. Holy smokes, we've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. This might be the longest show we've ever done. Do you know how annoyed Leander would be if he were here right now? He would have pieced out an hour ago.
We haven't even talked about WatchOS 9, but I don't think we really need to because we basically knew everything that was coming, right? Like,
yeah, you know what? I'm sorry.
Things for runners, multi-point workout detection for triathletes. How many people are those? I don't know.
Right up
Target heart rate zone training. So basically, some refinements to and advances of fitness stuff, better stuff for AFib management, and also a medication reminder system so that like, oh, which pills to take when. I'm not making fun of that. I mean, that could be crucial for people who take a lot of medication.
Yeah.
Get a little tap, hey, take this right now. And also supposedly something in the health app that like will try to spot bad interactions, which I mean,
did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, as always, everything's kind of well thought out. But yeah, it's weird, man. Both the last 2 years, Apple Watch just barely
kind of
even
underwhelming.
makes the stage. Barely makes it. I mean, it really felt perfunctory, didn't it?
Great word. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to add, they'll probably add some new features when the new Apple Watch comes out. There'll be some things that they didn't talk about, right? So they're probably saving their powder for that. And these are all the features for the rest of us plebs who have the older Apple Watches. It's like, okay, it's like, here, have some medication support. Are you a triathlete? Okay, here, now you can track that better.
Are you a triathlete? Yeah. I mean, last year, though, after WWDC and such a, very minor amount of information, I thought, oh, man, it's because they're going to have, like, this wild redesign and all these great new sensors. It's going to be an amazing overhaul of the Apple Watch. Can't wait. Wow, that did not come true last year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year.
I know, fingers crossed, because I really want that new flat design. That's going to be the only thing that gets me to upgrade, honestly. Because other than that, it's like, my Apple Watch now it just works so well. It's like I just don't feel like I need anything that's better than what I have. But if they did a new redesign, that flat redesign, that'd get me to plurk down the money. I got a hole in my pocket, Lewis. I got some money burning a hole in my pocket. I gotta buy something. I gotta buy some kind of new Apple equipment, but there's nothing for me right now. Actually, you know what? I don't know. Should I get the M2 MacBook Air or should I get the 14-inch MacBook Pro? What do you think? Chat, what do you think? M2 MacBook Air. That thing's gonna be no slouch, man. I mean, with 20% faster CPU and 30 to 35% faster GPU. That is going to be, that machine is practically pro.
Go
at
get
this
it.
point.
They're blurring the lines. The thing that I'm not saying I want to prolong this conversation, but
you really do.
Another thing that I was really surprised by, and frankly, I'm shocked did not show up in the show notes, is how much they talked about gaming.
You're shocked how much they did talk about gaming?
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to buy EA.
They're making a big push, man.
It wouldn't surprise me if Apple actually did buy a major gaming studio. Like there was that rumor that they were in talks to buy EA. It would not surprise me in the slightest. I mean, there's so much consolidation happening in the video game space right now. It's like you had Microsoft buy Bethesda, which was huge, and I think they also just bought Activision. And you have or was it PlayStation that bought Activision? No, I'm pretty sure it was.
Track of all these acquisitions, man.
But yeah, and you had PlayStation by Bungie. I thought. God, I'm getting let's see, PlayStation Bungie. I'm pretty sure they did. And so there's all these really huge gaming organizations that are being bought by other big companies, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Apple's like, you know what, we want to get into gaming. We're gonna buy EA and all of their properties.
Also at that at that talk show live. Federighi was talking a lot about this, not a lot, but he's just spelling it out. Like, look, now that we have this sort of unified platform with the M1 and iPad and it's all these Apple chips. Now we've got the biggest gaming platform anywhere, and the capabilities built in with Metal make it such that it's competitive with consoles and stuff. So
that's what I'm saying. Like if they really want to leap forward in adoption of Mac as like a serious game system, they could just buy EA and then force them to release all their games on Mac, and that could do it for them. And so Sony did buy Bungie, which is huge, and Microsoft bought Activision, and they bought Bethesda. Huge purchases. I mean, those are some of the biggest game studios on earth being purchased. And I wonder if that's what Apple's going to do next, And EA is one of the last big ones that's out there. And they've got a lot of really popular games. So if TC wants to get into the gaming space, and it seems like they're getting more and more serious. I mean, like adding controller support on Mac OS so that you can play with your different controllers. They could just be doing it so that people have a better Apple arcade experience. But I don't know, man. I don't think that's the extent of it. I think Apple's going hard in entertainment. I mean, look at what they're doing with TV and movies.
Sure.
Why would they not get into video games as well? I mean, they're getting into everything else. I mean, they're into everything now. Like, I don't know if you saw that story about the Apple lending, like the Apple Pay Later thing.
Right.
Like, they're not even partnering with a bank to do that. Apple is the bank now.
It's nutty.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, look, our viewers are dropping off precipitously. And before it gets to zero, Lewis, I think we need to go ahead and just start the music. People say that they always say they want a long stream, and here we are. We're almost at 2 hours, and they're quitting left and right. They're
Who could
out
blame
here.
them?
And who could blame them? So let's go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. If you want the fun to continue, you're like, the fun should never end. Well, we're both on Twitter at Airfon, E-R-F-O-N. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. Long COVID almost got me, Lewis. I almost forgot how to do it.
Gee whiz.
Oh, wait. That's gone. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday. I want to thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for watching live, especially this mega episode. And we'll catch you guys
Oh, jeez.
next time. I made it, Lewis. I didn't even pass out. I thought I would probably pass out once, maybe twice.
Are you tested negative yet? You still in
I've given up.
the gray zone?
I'm in the gray zone. I'm in the murky gray zone. I don't know. Positive, negative, somewhere in between. I'm positive I don't feel normal. Not much is true. Oh yeah, level remix one's out. Yeah. That one's for you, level remix. All right, everyone. I'm hovering towards the end stream button as we speak. Have a great weekend. Remember, friends don't let friends install betas on their production machines. R.I.P. Leander. I'll catch you guys next week.